I I can't tell you how many times I've gotten a call to my office that says, tell Attorney Smith that so and so died, and I've got the power of attorney. That's great, but that's not going to help you now that this person is, has passed away. What really applies in that situation is, are you the personal representative? Are you the executor? That's what I really want to know, because that's the only thing that matters at this point. The power of attorney ceased to be effective the moment that person died, or the moment that, if there was a temporary incapacity, the moment that that person regained capacity and you had doctors certify that that person is now able to, manage things on their own, right? So just wanted to mention that, because I get that question a lot. It's like, someone died and I have the power of attorney. Right. Next, we're going to talk about advanced directives. Now, writing down your choices about your future health care at a time when you can still communicate those choices is going to help your wishes to be carried out. For instance, an advanced directive is important when someone's in a coma, on life support, and unlikely to recover. Writing down your choices ahead of time can really spare family members from heartbreaking choices about whether to keep you on life support or not. In the state of Maryland, the advanced directive has two parts. In part one is where you name what's called the healthcare agent. That's the person, and then a backup, if you so choose, the person who's going to be speaking to doctors on your behalf. Part two is known as a living will. Okay, that and unless a written living will or advanced directive says otherwise, it takes effect when an attending physician and another doctor certify that the patient is not able to make an informed decision about your healthcare. An advanced directive speaks for you if you are unable to, and it helps make sure any religious or personal beliefs will be respected. It's a useful legal document for an adult of any age to plan for future healthcare needs. And no one is required to have an advanced directive. It's smart to think ahead and make a plan now. In my opinion, everybody, 18 or older needs to have an advanced directive at a bare minimum, right? To make your estate plan valid, it must be signed by you in the presence of two witnesses who will also sign. If you name a healthcare agent, make sure that that person is not one of your witnesses. Maryland law does not require the advanced directive to be notarized. You should give a copy of your advanced directive to your doctor so that they keep it in your electronic, medical record. And to others, that you trust. You should share a copy perhaps with the agent that you've named, so they have that handy. It's not mandatory, but it's a good idea for them to know what your wishes are. And copies are just as valid as originals. Okay. Now, what does not having a plan cost you? People talk about the cost. Well, here's what not having a plan costs you. You rob your family of peace of mind because they are left to deal with the mess you left behind. And yes, I said it. You do not get to choose who will raise your kids. You lose the power to benefit charities of your choice with your estate assets. And you give up power to the state to decide how your assets will be distributed. And lastly, your legacy will be tarnished or ruined, which is something I'm sure that nobody here wants. You get to choose your new reality, okay? We've spent time looking at how stressful and chaotic your life can be without an estate plan. We've also talked about, the different tools that are available in estate planning. Most of you would agree, I hope, that you don't want to live in a state of overwhelm. We can agree that you don't want your legacy to be one of discord and rancor among surviving family members because you failed to plan. And we can agree that hope is not a strategy, right? Now let's look at what life could be like if you decided to change the narrative in your family for the better. If you came from a family where no one had an estate plan, the change could begin with you. And I'll share with you, just I want to put a thumbtack there. There are many people who I serve, who I have the privilege of serving, who are what I call first generation folks. They're, maybe a grandmother, grandfather had an insurance policy here, something else there, a little money tucked away in a coffee can or whatever, but nothing ever written down, certainly nothing comprehensive, right? And hopefully, like I've been told, when you know better, you do better, right? And there are many people who are now starting to wake up and get more information thanks to the internet. There's information everywhere about estate planning and the importance of it, and particularly in minority communities and communities of color. And that's one thing that's a passion of mine, quite frankly, that I want to raise awareness of estate planning, and then after that, empower people to create their legacies. So the benefits of having an estate plan, you decide that you'll have a plan, I should say, that identifies who's going to make decisions for you. If you end up in an emergency room and can't speak for yourself, you know exactly who you want to serve as guardians for your children if you die. You have someone in place who will have the legal authority to pay bills, pay the mortgage, and handle other business if you are temporarily, in the hospital and can't do this on your own. And then for the first time, you'll have a plan to give back to organizations and people that have helped you throughout your life. Then the other thing is, you'll be a role model. If you have kids, you're a role model. They're watching. Right? We all saw perhaps saw the pictures of the confirmation hearing with Judge Brown, and we saw her daughters sitting in back, admiring her. Kids, they're always watching what we're doing. Okay. And then most importantly, you can rest and not just sleep at night because you've done what you can to protect yourself and your family and legacy. I want to give you yet another tool that's going to help you do that. Now you understand at least the basics of estate planning. That was the goal of this presentation. You've seen what not having a plan can cost you. Now, what are you waiting for? Quite frankly, you still need a little motivation? We can help you with that. I want to offer you yet another free resource. It's our estate planning Jumpstart guide. And for those of you who took advantage of that will preparation checklist, this is yet another resource. It's a Jumpstart guide. Same place, go to the resources tab on my website, go to the drop-down menu, and it'll be there for you as well. You're more than welcome. Everybody on the call is more than welcome to access that resource. I want to thank Dr. Anna Oka and Natasha Bolden, who's assisting me behind the scenes, and really everyone behind the scenes, because as I shared with them, it's not just the person that's in front of the camera, it's all the women supporting you behind the scenes that allow us to provide you with quality content in a professional, seamless way. So you all have my sincerest thank yous. And I want to thank everyone in the audience today for listening. Hopefully you got a few things out of this presentation.